3, 2, 1, and we're live! Hello, ladies and germs! I don't know where that came from. That was pretty awful. Welcome to the latest episode of the Crafty Boys. This is episode 35, entitled, You Built a Time Machine Out of a Watermelon? Wow.
Watermelon? Why would you pick watermelon?
I don't know, because it was funny at the time.
Yeah? Alright.
That time or this time?
You know, it would have been better to title it, You Built a Time Machine Out of a Cucumber.
Okay, you know what? We're killing this stream and starting over.
No. We'll stick with the watermelon.
It was a water... man, never mind. Okay, I thought watermelon was funnier.
It was anything
So the show is so terrible to me. I work so hard. Dave doesn't do anything. He just shows up and looks pretty.
Does?
I don't know. Okay, so anyway, I've lost my train of thought. What are we talking about?
All right.
We're talking about. All right, you go ahead, take the show on, man, because apparently I suck.
Okay, so hey, I'm Alan. I'm in Victoria. Just north of me, we've got Dave in Comox. Right? Say hi, Dave.
Yo.
Okay, so if you're on like a hot summer day, what a lot of people do is they get a pitcher of water and they'll throw in a couple of slices of cucumber into it, and they'll stick it in the fridge for a few hours. And after a few hours, you've got like a really refreshing drink. Has everybody done this? Have you done this, Dave?
I have not.
Well, you should try it because it's really good.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
So obviously, at some point, somewhere down the line, somebody at Steamworks Brewing out of Vancouver.
See, total professionals here, everybody.
Thought that the same thing must apply to beer. That if you make beer and you cut up some cucumbers and let them sit for a few hours, you're going to have a really refreshing drink. So that's what we're going to find out today, if that actually holds water. Now, I will say this about Steamworks. Steamworks, we've both been to their brew pub over there, haven't we, Shane? Yeah, you and I. You took me there one time.
That is correct, yes.
Yes, they do some really good beers.
They totally do.
So
that's why I keep going back there.
So I'm looking forward to trying this. So Shane, it was your pick this week. What made you decide to pick a summer seasonal in late October when it's just, you know, everybody's trying to sell off what little stock they have left?
Funny you should ask that exact question, because the exact answer is that's exactly what happened. On Monday, we had an election party here on the October 19th day, where we were able to watch the Liberal Party sweep into power by destroying everybody else. So, and during this party, somebody showed up partway through, and they said, "Hey, we totally have to drink this." And I'm like, "All right." And I said, "What is it?" And they said, "It's called Killer Cucumber." And I'm like, "What? I beg your pardon? Killer. I was expecting like, destructive dragons or killer walruses. No, cucumber. So, this is the bottle. I have never heard of this beer before. I have never seen it at their location. I have not seen it anywhere else. So this seasonal has been hidden away somewhere from me. It's like the entire stock of bottles has been. It's like, "Shane's coming, quick!" and they stash it somewhere else, and I just haven't seen it. So I'm excited to try this because it is. It's like a very sort of. It's like they call it an ale, but just from what I can see in here, and from what I saw on Monday, it looks more like a lager, but it's like a lager and a wheat beer sort of had a child, and this is kind of what happened. Granted, I think that the coolest part about this so far is this label is pretty awesome. It's like a cucumber has
Killer
been
whale.
cut into the shape of a killer whale, and I kind of like that. Granted, I don't know what it's going to taste like, because it's going to be. I did try a little bit, but I don't. And this is the other part that I found really strange. 10 cents on the side there. So anyway, I don't know. What have you guys? I mean, I seem to apparently have missed this entirely. Have you guys seen this anywhere?
No.
No.
And I actually go looking quite frequently at new stuff that we can try for this podcast, and I miss this completely. Possibly because I always look for things in the larger single serve bomber bottles. I don't. These come in 6-packs, so I mean I never really look at those.
I tend
But,
to
I
look
mean-
at both, but I do gravitate towards the big bomber bottles because their labels tend to be more unique and a little more exciting. But I gotta say, this one, a splash of summer, blow off some steam, my kind of whale watching. A slice of steam brewing perfection, best shared with your pod. Hi, boys.
Also, a whale of an ale.
Yeah,
All right, I'm opening mine up. Have you guys opened yours yet?
I've opened up mine. I've taken
Hang
a
on, I
swig.
gotta open mine here. I'm actually gonna pour mine out. I was actually surprised this wasn't a twist top, to be honest. All right, so I've got my trusty. This is actually brand new to me. I received this on Monday at the party. It is a new glass with the Guinness logo on it,
Ew.
and we're going to pour the Steamworks Killer Cucumber into here. Wow, that's kind of got a it's got a
Very
sort of
golden looking.
it's golden, but it's also effervescent. I don't know. What do you think? Have you actually looked at it outside of the bottle?
No, I haven't.
No.
Okay, what does it smell like to you? Definitely, that is one powerful cucumber.
I mean, I'm going to say this: where other beers have failed, where they say that they have like a kind of flavor in it, and you can't really taste it. Well, this one you can definitely taste the cucumber.
All right, here we go.
Yeah,
Here we are.
drink it up. So
That is like I just made out with a cucumber. That I took a cucumber and I romanced it a bit. I said, "Hey, baby."
okay.
How's it going?
First of all, let's decide something here. Shane,
Okay.
do you like cucumbers?
I do. I love cucumbers.
Dave, do you like cucumbers?
Some of my best friends are cucumbers.
Okay. And do you like beer?
Say yes, Dave.
Yes, say yes.
Say yes, Dave.
Not as much as cucumbers, but okay.
All right, Shane, you like beer?
Yes, I love beer.
So, if you love cucumbers and you love beer, you must love the two together. Yes?
Okay.
Must seems like strong language.
This is not a unison that I would predict as one that works. I will say this, however. The other day when I tried it from the bottle, I was underwhelmed. Pouring it into a nice glass with a very large sort of opening at the top, I have to say is it's a different experience. Because I think I'm getting, more of the scent through the nasal and all that kind of working better. Where drinking it out of here, I think is detrimental to this beer because it's pardon me, you don't get a lot of the scent from the surface of the drink. So it's a very different experience if you have it in a glass. So I would recommend trying it before you finish that bottle. I would laugh at your child hunched over behind you, but also I would also try pour it into a glass. Pour it into a glass. This is probably the first time that I thought, beer in a glass it's actually better in the glass. Very interesting.
Oh, that's interesting. So now let's be honest here, okay? This thing came in a 6-pack. I bought it a couple of days ago. I opened one up the other night and had it, and was not impressed. I mean,
that's totally fair because
I applaud Steamworks for thinking outside the box and doing something that nobody else has done. Like everybody does chocolate stouts or coffee ales or whatever, raspberry this and strawberry that. But I've never seen a cucumber beer before. And so hats off to Steamworks for thinking outside the box and trying something a little bit different. Having said that,
oh, okay.
I don't think you should just try anything with beer just to be different.
Hey, I found this plutonium on the street corner. I opened the box and there was a bunch of things in it. I wasn't quite sure.
But
I thought we'd put it into a bottle and try it out with some hops and water.
We found a bunch of dead raccoons on the side of the road. We didn't want them to go to waste, so we put them in a beer.
Have you ever seen the movie The Thing? We tried that in a beer. That was a mistake. But I'm serious. I mean, your reaction, and definitely, I had the same reaction the other day where, I tried it and I thought, oh my lord, what is this? And the label's kind of cool, and I thought, all right, well, I'll try it. But then I did, and I was kind of, I was kind of underwhelmed. And then I thought, we should try this for the podcast because this is such a unique sort of beer. I mean, you're right. We've done the wheats, we've done the chocolates, we've done some of the sort of the fruit sort of summer ones. This, I don't know why I missed it. You'd think that this one would be everywhere, along with like the raspberries and the sort of the apples and the fruits and whatever beer has been mixed to sort of be summery. But this one I just didn't see anywhere, and so that's why I was kind of interested in trying it. But I have to say, drinking it out of the bottle definitely is a very different experience from drinking it out of, a pint glass, a glass in general, because it really is.
Okay, I gotta agree with you.
It tastes way different when you have the full experience, and this limits this beer. And I've never ever thought that about any beer before, but this bottle does this beer a disservice. Because and here's the other thing, the person who brought the beer, who thought it would be kind of cool to try, only managed to get past the whale's dorsal fin, and he looked at me and said, "I'm getting rid of this, man. This is awful." So he poured it out, and that was sort of the experience that I was thinking I was going to have today. Am I going to drink this and be reactive to the beer like he did? No, I gotta say, this beer should have something on the label saying, "Don't drink from here, pour it into a pint glass."
Which is maybe why it should be marketed in a bomber bottle instead of a 6-pack. With a bomber bottle, you don't want to drink out of the bottle, because then you look weird. But out of these,
or much to the alcoholics in the world, you fit right in.
But with these, the 355 ml bottles, I mean, it's normal. Just crack one open, drink it from the bottle. That's why I didn't have a glass ready.
Speaking of,
I'm glad I actually thought about it. Yeah, grab a glass, man, because I'd like to actually see your reaction if you drink it from the bottle than to here.
I would like to know what you think here, but when pouring it into the glass, it has a definite greenish tinge.
It does. It's sort of got a very mild sort of green to it. I don't know if that's because of the cucumber
I
or,
would think so.
but I mean, it definitely. Wow, I have to say, it's such a different experience from the glass.
I could see this being a really refreshing beer to have from the glass on a hot, sticky July day where it's 30 degrees outside and it's
Exactly.
so hot you don't want to do anything and you need some refreshment, but you're sick of having the water with the whatever that squirt in flavoring is or whatever. So open up one of these. I think you could enjoy it.
I totally think so. I think that it's. I mean, it's obviously a seasonal summer beer, so it fits right in. I just am surprised of the scent being such an impact because for a lot of beer, I mean, I always drink Guinness from a glass. I don't drink it from the can or drink it
Well,
from
you
a bottle,
can't.
which well, you can't. It was sort of.
Well, I
Well,
guess you
you
could, but
might
it's
die.
stupid.
Exactly. So, but there's a bunch of other beers that I think would be very interesting to try if they weren't in the bottle. And we had that experience with the Vancouver Island Brewery's Piper's Pale Ale recently. But we drank it from the bottle because that's what we did when we were introduced to it so many years ago. And we were kind of underwhelmed. We were drinking it, going, I don't know, this is kind of blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But I don't recall. Did I drink out of the glass? I can't remember. But anyway, basically, all I'm saying is that that some beers definitely will benefit from being drunk from a larger sort of opening rather than the tiny bottle opening that we always have, or used to. So I don't know.
Right.
Maybe we're just wrong. This beer is
Yeah, I
actually
mean,
pretty damn good, but
you
it
know,
has to be drunk in a certain way.
you always want to give a beer a second chance. Because I've done that before, where maybe you're just not in the right frame of mind or something. You're trying something and you don't like it, but maybe it was more you than it is the beer. You know?
Possibly. I mean, definitely, because I mean, some days you might have a cold. You might have eaten something beforehand that has left some sort of taste in your mouth that when you mix it with the beer you've chosen, it tastes like acid or something. I mean, you just can't tell.
Yeah.
Like when you have what is that thing you can do with you take a drink. You put a mint in your mouth and you let the mint do its thing, and then you drink water, and it makes the water feel so incredibly cold that like you're freezing your entire, the internal parts of your esophagus out.
Mm.
But I mean, the same would apply for anything like beer, especially beer, because um, pizza, greasy foods, that kind of stuff really go well with beer, as opposed to something like I don't know. Corn nuts? No, that's no. I love corn nuts, and they go well with beer. Think of a food that does not go well with beer. Ice cream, for example.
Eggplant.
Eggplant might suck. But this, in this case, it's bottle construction has failed this beer, and when you're drinking it this way, it's far better. So yeah, um, a bomber bottle might be a better way to do it because you're right. I think that a lot of people will drink from bomber bottles, but I think the majority probably go, I'm going to pour this into a glass so I don't look like a nut.
Yeah. Dave, what do you think?
I think if you fried eggplants, they just might go.
I'm out.
No, about the beer. You've tried it from the bottle. You've tried it from the glass.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not enough of a beer guy to say I notice a difference one way or t'other. But I will say this. After I poured it into the glass, it was really interesting. I don't know why, but this is totally reminding me of a European style of beer.
Like, say, a Stella or something?
Yeah, actually. Like, I
Okay.
don't know about you guys. You've had a lot more different types and stuff than I have, but this kind of reminds me of something like that. Like, it's got this almost sort of a wine look to it. It's a nice sort of
Mm-hmm.
pale yellow, and it's nice and clear, and it looks really good. It smells really good, and
It's
I
very
guess
the cucumber is very powerful with it.
it's
And I wasn't too sure if sort of like the bitterness of the cucumber would go well with the beer. Um,
mm.
and from the bottle, it doesn't at all. It's actually vile from the bottle. Um, just being honest.
Well, no, I'm serious. I mean, that was the reaction I had the other day, and I just thought, like most of the bottles or most of the beers that I try, when we record this, is that I thought I would try it in a glass, and I was honestly surprised. I did not expect to like what I was experiencing. Where the other day, granted, I mean, I didn't drink a bottle of it the other day. I just had a swig or two from this other bottle that eventually got poured out. So. I don't know. I gotta say, I am definitely surprised that this is. It's a non-bottle drinking beer. If you have this, do not, whatever you do, under any circumstances, drink this beer in the bottle. Don't do it at all. You will be disappointed. This beer requires some love. It's like watching Downton Abbey, and there's a character in Downton Abbey that he's the head butler of the Abbey. And every so often, like every, I don't know, other episode, or maybe every third episode, you'll see him decanting wine, which essentially means he takes the bottle of wine, holds it in a special contraption that has a handle on it, and it pours slowly out of the bottle because as he's turning it, it's slowly tilting the bottle, and it goes into like a cheesecloth, and it filters the wine into the decanter. And yeah, so it's interesting because he's doing it, but he's doing it so slowly because he's watching the wine pour as if it's the most important thing going on at that very moment, which to them at the time it was. But it's kind of interesting just watching this process happen, and I'm now picturing like this bottle in a turner being tilted very slightly and being just tilted and spun until it's all out, and then the glass is actually the reward. So that's, I don't know. It's such a strange. I've never. This is why I'm so weirded out. I've never had this experience with a beer ever.
Well, this is
The
why we do this, right?
um. So anyway, yeah. So I'm changing the title of this episode. You're right. I thought watermelon was funny. Apparently it should be cucumber.
So originally we were going to do this episode last night on October 21st, 2015.
That is correct.
And then Shane had to bail.
That is correct.
So we ended up doing it the next day, today, October 22nd, 2015. So why is October 21st significant?
Go, Dave.
Back to the Future Day.
Why is it Back to the Future
by
Day?
the way, I'm going to point this out because I want to embarrass Dave as always. It did take him a moment yesterday when I did talk to him. He's like, "What day is today? What? Today's back to the what?"
In fairness, it's been I don't know how many years since I've actually seen Back to the Future.
Probably 30, I would say.
I think I've rewatched it. I might have even rewatched it with you.
Probably, but that was years and years ago.
Probably.
But I will say this: it is still one of my absolute favorite movies, period, ever.
So last night I had to bail because a friend of mine is in town very briefly, and he said, "Tonight is the night I can really hang out." And I said, "Sure, let's hang out." And of course, he was the one that said, "You know what we should do? We should watch Back to the Future because it is Back to the Future Day." So that's what I ended up doing as I watched that last night. So what stuff yesterday spoke to you about Back to the Future? Did you do anything special?
Well, pretty much all media. I watched Back to the Future too.
Okay, you watched it. What did you do, Dave?
I read some stories about the Nike power-laced frickin' sneakers that they came out with.
Cool,
real,
cool.
Apparently.
The interesting thing is that later in the day, sometime last night around 9 o'clock, somebody did actually post. Who I don't know if it was Nike themselves, but they posted a video of Michael J. Fox actually putting on power lace shoes. Unfortunately, they're not as cool as they were in the film, because you put it in, then you put weight on the heel, and then it has some motors in the base of the shoe that pull the straps down. And depending on how much pressure you put, I think was what they said in the video, is how tight it can get. So, but it takes a lot of power. This is actually the biggest problem we're running into now, is that there's really no way to store a lot of power in a small space. We're finding it with like cars, electric cars and things like that, where the batteries are definitely getting better, but we have had, if we wanted to have a self-drying jacket or full-on power laces that you're not worried are going to burn out of power after the first use, the batteries have to get better, or we have to come up with a new source of energy production for that is not chemical-based. So get on that, Dave, because I know that you're up there. I'm sure you've got a mad scientist lab somewhere nearby. Is that right? Because I'm expecting a whole lot from you for being up there in the sticks.
Oh.
I think one day Dave is going to be on the news. We're going to be watching the news.
You and I are going to be interviewed as like, he was such a quiet boy. You never struck me as somebody who would create a gelatinous cube that would eat the entire west half of Canada. So. Something about me wanting to put quarters into the cube was significant.
That's hilarious.
Oh my god. So I guess that So Dave, if you aren't in the news and us being interviewed because we're part of this whole thing, what is it about? What did you actually? So you did nothing yesterday for Back to the Future Day? I think you had to work, didn't you?
I worked, yes. Oh no! Wait a minute. Tomorrow's Wednesday.
Tomorrow's Wednesday?
Wednesday. Yesterday was Wednesday. I did not work yesterday.
Well, I'll tell you what I did yesterday. I pulled my pockets inside out.
I did that as well. I did that
not
for
all day. I only did it for a little bit, but I did do it. It's actually not as easy as I thought it would be. It's not like the pants from 1985, which were a rectangle that you would just pull out and they would just hang out. But
right,
like they're attached, and so like when I pulled them out, they wouldn't go all the way out, and it was kind of disappointing.
Well, I have to say that right now, you and I and Dave are living the Back to the Future dream of basically being able to talk via video, not have to do anything special, really.
Well, they got a lot right. That's the thing, though. I mean, for everything that they got wrong and how fantastic the 2015 looked then, it's amazing how much they got right. Now, I mean, maybe not exactly in the same way, but they still managed to get things right. Like, the telephone glasses that the kids were wearing in the McFly house. I mean, that's Google Glass, right?
That's true. I mean, it is Google Glass in a lot of ways. Although, I don't recall if Google Glass was able to do like a Hangout. That would have been cool if it did. I don't actually know.
Well, you know what?
I'm assuming the next version will.
Well, I think that they've kind of abandoned Google Glass. No?
No. You see, I am so delved into the Google ecosystem And okay, this actually, I'm going to vent a little bit about this whole Google. I think that people don't know how to read. Because if you ever went to because when Google Glass came out, I was excited, going, "Holy crap! I totally want to try that." But I wasn't about to drop $1,500 on a product that was a beta product. They were. It said very clearly on the website that this was an Explorer program. They wanted to see what people would do with them. But eventually they would take that data and be able to create the future, whatever the future product was. Which is mainly why they were so expensive. I think they really wanted to just kind of limit it to people. They didn't want to have, a $300 product. They wanted to see, if people are going to use it, make them use it by charging a lot of money for it. Granted, maybe that's what it costs. I have no idea. But the reality is it always was a beta product. It always was treated as such. So when they close it, they're like, okay, we're taking the data, we're going to go now take that to improve whatever the next version is. I don't know. It seemed pretty straightforward to me. So when I was seeing all these people going, Google's killed the blah, fuck that, we knew all along it was such a crap. No, I'm like, fuck, read this fucking website that's been there for 4 years. Programmed to try out technology to see what people do with it, and then after that we're gonna make something really cool. I don't know. Just it really, as a nerd, it's like, dudes, read a book once in a while.
Shane, take your Ritalin.
Hang on, here it is.
So, and some other things that they got right was like 3D movies. I mean, 3D movies are prolific right now. I mean, we don't have like sharks that leap out at you on the street, but I mean, you can't see anything that's not in 3D, which is actually kind of just get off topic a little bit here. I'm going to have a bit of a rant. By the way, Star Wars Episode 7 tickets went on sale this week, and it seems like almost every single thing is in 3D. I don't want to see a Star Wars movie in 3D. I didn't see the other ones in 3D in 1977 and 1980 and 1983. Why would I want to see Episode 7 now in 3D? No. I want to see it in the same way, 2 dimensions, that I saw the original ones.
Agreed. I am not a fan of 3D films. I'm apparently one of those people that it gives headaches to. But
it doesn't give me headaches. It's just, I don't know.
It does to me. I'm not sure if it has to do with the film specifically. But I think it has to do with the projection, like how they're actually projecting it. Some places are probably not as cool as others. But I don't know. I've had several headaches coming out of a 3D film. I won't pretend to understand how that particular technology works. I know I did not get a headache when I watched the first Hobbit film in, as I like to call it, soap opera vision. At what is it, 60 frames a second or something, which is pretty cool. But on a big screen, it kind of makes everyone look like they're in a soap opera. A little bit too lit too brightly, and a lot of zoom-ins that look really creepy. I had no idea Gandalf had 75 pimples on the end of his nose. But I don't know. Yeah, I kind of agree. The nostalgia factor comes in. And I think that it would be kind of nice if it was not, if you could actually buy tickets for a non-3D showing. I wouldn't mind seeing it in 3D, but I don't know.
For my first time, I'd want to see it in 2D.
I agree, because that's the thing, is that if you have a film in 3D and then you could actually watch it later on in 4D in 3D.
All right.
Star Wars Episode 1 in 4D. Misa gonna spit on you! That would suck. Which, by the way, I did read today.
Did you read today?
I did. I went to IMDb. If you look at IMDb, apparently in last year, I'm pretty sure this is tongue-in-cheek. I'm pretty sure this is not true. But in their trivia section, they talk about an interview that J.J. Abrams gave last year, talking about how Jar Jar Binks' skeleton will be featured as an Easter egg somewhere in one of the desert scenes. So there you go. Take that for what it is.
That's awesome.
So yeah, but did you guys watch Back to the Future 2 or 3 at all?
I watched Back to the Future 2 last night.
And how did it go?
It was the same as it has been for the past.
It hasn't changed at all. I can't believe they changed Christopher Lloyd with that other actor. I saw.
I actually noticed something last night when I was watching Back to the Future 2 that I never noticed before, and that is when they're unloading Jennifer out of the DeLorean and they're putting her with all those crushed video discs and CDs and stuff, which was totally prophetic. I mean, who uses media like that now? I mean, we're not throwing it away like they were in Back to the Future 2, but I mean, everything is digital now, right? But anyway, in that same pile was a bunch of cubes of garbage saying, "Warning, silicone toxic." So I guess what they were saying is they kind of had the, how sometimes we start using something, that technology, and it's prolific, and then we suddenly discover, oh, it's bad for us. So I guess what they were prophesizing is that we would find that out about silicone, because it's basically in everything that we use.
That's true, because you have asbestos was kind of the same way. It's like, this thing is great. It totally resists heat, and it's able to not burn and everything else. And 30 years later, 50 years later, it's like, don't breathe it in.
I've got mesothelioma.
That's so sad, but funny at the same time.
Yeah.
The other thing about Back to the Future is how, even though Back to the Future Day was, a lot of people over the past few years were like, you only got a year left, scientists, where's our hoverboard? It was interesting just how many people got into, doing something for Back to the Future Day. One of them, of course, being Health Canada with their Healthy Canadian website. Where basically it talks about products that are potentially dangerous and whatnot, and they did a recall on the DMC-12 DeLorean because of faulty flux capacitors. And I'm assuming you guys saw this?
Yes, I did.
So that was kind of surprising. I thought that was hilarious because I happened to be reading an article and somebody tweeted going, "Have you guys checked out the Health Canada website?" And like, why would we care about that? And except for maybe wanting to stay healthy, and so it was they just put a link out to it, and I thought it was kind of cool. So I screenshotted it because I'm kind of curious if it has been taken down by now, but who cares? It was funny, because some people 5 years from now are like, totally, I should have taken my DeLorean to get looked at. I'm gonna totally sue. Yeah, so anyway, I'm trying to think, what else happened for Back to the Future Day? Microsoft.com, if you typed out a time in their search bar, you get a little treat.
Well, Jimmy Kimmel, they actually, Marty McFly and Doc Brown showed up in the DeLorean.
Yeah,
and,
I saw that.
They did a bit
as well, which actually reminds me. There is a documentary that came out yesterday about Back to the Future's 30th anniversary, But one of the cool things about that is there is a couple of people, I gather, according to this documentary, that drive around bringing awareness to Parkinson's. And other things like that, and they drive around DeLorean to do this, which I think is kind of.
And I think they're Canadian.
Yes, in the trailer they're described as crazy, a good kind of crazy, but crazy. But yeah, they apparently did, and I thought that was kind of cool, like being able to recognize that, even though, when you boil it all down, Back to the Future is just a film, and it really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. But in order to make it matter, a lot of people do a lot of things like dress up or watch the film or whatever. But that is sort of that next level where it's like,
honestly, if I had the money and I could buy a DeLorean, I'm totally making it look like the DeLorean from Back to the Future. Like, I'm putting on all the stuff and all the
totally
neon and all that. I mean, it's done. Same deal if I ever buy a 69 Dodge Charger, it's going to be the General Lee. The only question is, do I put the Confederate flag on the top or not? I haven't decided about that.
Honestly,
but anyway, back
put the Confederation flag on it because that makes it authentic. That makes it real. I think that it would even be cooler if it had the United Federation of Planets flag on the top. Just but that would make the car blue. So
I'm a nerd, but I don't want to get beaten up.
Oh my god, awesome. So yeah, I mean, to me, Back to the Future Day, I thought that not a lot of people would recognize it. Not a lot of people would figure, would kind of make sense of it. But it was like the last week or so that you started seeing things pop up everywhere, and I thought, well, that's actually very cool. So I kind of got into it. I went and put on my Back to the Future T-shirt that my sister bought me several years ago. I also, tweeted a bunch of things out, threw a bunch of things on Instagram. But it really made me kind of want to have something more tangible to actually build. So I thought about getting a model of the DeLorean and building it or something. I thought it'd be kind of fun. So yeah, it's really cool that a community can do that kind of stuff over something that essentially is just a film. So about Star Wars, who saw the Star Wars trailer?
Oh, of course I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
A very interesting fact that I had no idea was going on is the actress, the young girl that you see in the trailer, whose character's name escapes me at the moment, is the real life daughter of Carrie Fisher.
Oh wow.
So
really?
There you go. Yeah. I had no idea. She's an actress as well. She's been doing a few things here and there, but this is kind of her, I guess, her big break.
The only reason why I'm kind of, because I know that Carrie Fisher's daughter was in the film, but I was led to believe that she was actually playing Princess Leia in a flashback scene.
I only went to the list of people on IMDb, and I was like, really? And sure enough, yeah. So apparently that is. I mean, here's the thing. We don't know the story. The story is a big, huge mystery. We know that there's a bunch of villains, some dude who's like, Darth Vader was like really cool, and I'm going to totally do what he was doing.
His name is Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren, yes, sorry. Who is a character created for the film, I gather. I thought he was expanded universe, but apparently not.
No.
Because I kind of thought that some expanded universe might be fun to leak in there, but who knows? I mean, I have no idea. I know nothing about it aside from what I've seen in the trailer. So I don't know. I'm very interested. There's a winter planet, or at least a place where it's snowing. There is of course, I think what might be Tatooine may not be Tatooine. I would assume it is, considering they always go back there, but it could be a billion other planets that are desert planets. Just who knows? I mean, I'm kind of. It made me excited. It kind of the seeing that trailer the day before Back to the Future Day kind of, made it really. It made me excited again about those franchises, about that particular stuff, because Back to the Future, everything is now in the past for that film series, and but it stands up, even though, I mean, my favorite, Back to the Future is a really great film. My favorite is kind of the third film because of the fact that they go back into 1885 and they're doing stuff 100 years before, and I got off of that. I was really excited about that because I enjoy that period of time, just historically and whatnot. So, yeah.
My favorite one is the first one.
I mean, the first one, by all means, like that. If somebody said, "Here are the 3 DVDs, watch one," I would watch the first one. But I really enjoyed the third one just because it was interesting. It was so not what I expected back in the day when those films came out.
Now,
So,
I don't know if it's going to be the same in Vancouver, but here in Victoria at Silver City, Back to the Future 1 and 2 was shown on last night, and on Sunday, you can watch 1, 2, and 3 in a marathon.
oh, I didn't know that. I actually would be interested in checking that out.
So
Because
I would assume they're doing that in Vancouver as well.
I probably somewhere. Because I was actually looking at marathons because there is a tag for marathons on the Cineplex website. There is going to be the week before, or sorry, not the week before, sorry, the opening day, or the day, I can't remember. The dates are a little foggy because they don't have all the dates settled yet. But you can watch every Star Wars film, including the new one.
I know.
16 hours, 52 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm tempted. I'm
tempted too. I'm kind of wondering, what do you do about food during that time? I mean, you're not going to just live on popcorn during
I suspect that there probably will do something about that, because I remember when I did the marathon for Star Trek when Star Trek 6 came out. There was, because you went to the Capital 6 downtown in Victoria when it existed, and they had the movies playing throughout the day, and you got to watch the first one, actually it didn't really matter. You could watch in whatever order, because when you bought the ticket, you paid for, the ticket was like $30 or $25 something at the time, and you could watch any film in whatever order. I went in order. I watched the Motion Sickness, then I watched 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 up to 6. And of course, people were jamming into 6 because that was the one that was just coming out. But so that a few of the films, I remember Star Trek 3 was actually sparsely populated when I went and saw it, and that was probably about 5 hours into it, because they ran them for 12 hours, and because you could actually leave and wander around, but they had the concession, but they also had I guess what you would comparatively like a kiosk for different types of foods and things up in the lobby. Because you remember Capital 6, you went up that roundabout thing, and then you had that long hallway with all the theaters. Well, they had some things there, like hot pizza, that kind of ferry food, kind of like going to a BC Ferry cafeteria. So my assumption is they'll probably do something like that for such a long marathon. I mean, that's still pushing my boundaries for watching.
Well, I'd almost want to go, but I want to skip episodes 1, 2, and 3.
What?
I want to just go see episodes 4, 5, 6.
What films are you talking about, though? There's what was that? Episode 1, 2, 3. There wasn't. It always started at episode 4.
And also, the marathon starts at like 4:30 in the morning.
I know. This is the thing, because it ends when the film is supposed to. The problem is they didn't have any dates on the website, at least when I looked at it earlier today. They did have a note saying that it was to be determined. So
even though technically I have to work that day, if you go to the marathon, I'll go with you.
Alan, I'm going to touch the screen here. I'm feeling your forehead. Are you okay, man?
Yeah, I'm okay. Hey,
you might want to cough a little.
Star Wars
snuffle.
So,
well, when the tickets actually go on sale for the marathon, I definitely am going to check it out, because I think if I can get the tickets,
I think they're already on sale.
I couldn't find ones for the marathon. I could see ones where I could buy a seat for.
They're expensive too. They're like $70.
What?
Yeah, but it's 16 hours, and maybe you get fed. See, that's the thing, is that the details were a little sketchy, but. But again, they have cities listed, but they're all in the States, and they say coming to Canada. It's like, okay, all right. Well, why didn't you just plan it at the same time? Or have participating theaters was the big thing. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of nostalgic today about all these things, because The other day, a couple weeks ago, a friend of mine, Travis, passed away from cancer at the age of 41, and his favorite film that I watched with him on like at least a dozen times was Star Trek II. And I kind of was already nostalgic when Back to the Future was out yesterday, and it just, I don't know, I'm just in that mode, you know. I'm in that mode of all this stuff is exciting me again. Where lately we've been inundated with what the biggest explosion film is going to be, or what is the biggest special effects extravaganza, and I haven't seen the film. But while I was kind of looking around at Star Trek stuff and kind of looking at Star Trek 2 and all these sorts of things, I stumbled across a video from a couple years ago by a special effects company that did special effects for Alien 4. Which I have yet to see, have not seen it. It's written by Joss Whedon, so I'm surprised I haven't seen it. Although I gather not a whole lot of Joss's stuff survived. But in the special effects thing, they were talking about special effects back in like Jurassic Park and those kinds of things back in '93, and how in Jurassic Park, even though it's advertised as having live dinosaurs and a lot of special effects, they said there's maybe 3 or 4 dozen special effects CGI parts in that. The rest of the dinosaurs are all practical effects. It's a guy in a suit or an animatronic thing or whatever. So they were just talking about all of these different things coming together, and how they, as people who make practical effects, are constantly being told that they're no longer needed because CGI is going to fit the bill. But they made some very strong arguments about how, if you're going to shoot something, shoot the thing in real life if you can, and augment it with special effects, CGI stuff. Don't do the whole thing, because that's not what people want. And that's actually interesting, because I definitely am one of those people. I'm like, I don't really want the full-on special effect thing, because when you depend on special effects, the story goes out the window and the whole thing collapses. Did anybody here see Jupiter Rising or Jupiter Ascending?
No.
Yeah, exactly. Because it sucked, and it was terrible. It was awful. I did the same thing with Prometheus, which I was excited about. Like, oh my god, a prequel film to the Alien series. That's kind of cool. And I made it about 20 minutes through and shut it off because it was just fucking awful. It was horrible. And so going back to the Future and thinking about the future of Star Wars and going and watching Star Wars again, I don't know. There's going to be a point where the CGI stuff is going to fall in on itself, and we're going to eventually recognize, I hope, that storytelling is far more important. And if you're filming something, make it as real as possible, but don't rely on stuff that's obviously digital, because that's the big thing for me. When I want to see a film that has really bad special effects, I will watch Sharknado, because or the next film I'm kind of excited about, Sharkosaurus or Sharktopus versus Wolf Shark. So, or whatever the title is, something similar to that. But essentially, it's a shark that's been turned into a werewolf, and it battles Sharktopus, which is a great white shark that's half octopus. There you go.
Totally based on science.
Totally based on science. I mean, it's like the film Two-Headed Shark Attack. I know they're going to be terrible. I know the special effects are going to be awful. But you know what? It doesn't matter, because I go into that film going, you know what? I am totally going to watch this. I know it's crappy. It's going to be hilarious to watch, because there'll be some
like
over the
Attack
top
of the
stuff.
Killer Tomatoes. I mean,
Exactly. I mean, in the last Sharktopus film, it had a brilliant cameo by Conan O'Brien, who's on the beach. He asks his intern or somebody to do something, and they're like, "I'm not your slave." And he's like, "You better get it, because I'm on TV and I rule." Right before he has his head bitten off by the shark. Sharknado 2. Will Wheaton is in it briefly before he gets eaten by a shark. It's all these things that are kind of cool, and they don't take themselves seriously. They take themselves as this is going to be silly, over the top. It's going to be entertaining, and you're going to watch it. You're going to laugh. You're going to cry. You're going to go to the screen, and then you're going to leave and never see it again. Or maybe if you do, maybe it'll be in a theater where you're throwing toast at the screen. So, we don't have that. It's all about, the bottom line, sadly, most of the time. So, especially for films that are supposed to be great, where you see, like, the Wachowskis who did The Matrix making Jupiter Ascending, and even saying in interviews after, going, yeah, we totally fucked that one up. Like, that's, like, I don't know what we were doing. Like the film Cloud Atlas, the book Cloud Atlas, if you've read the book, you know that is not something that should be made into a 2-hour film, and then they tried and failed. It would have been so much better as like a 12-part miniseries or something, to be able to pay attention to stuff, because the films that are crappy, like Sharktopus versus Wolf Shark or whatever it's called, they're not meant to be focused on story. They're meant to have a loosely cohesive story that could have plot holes all over the place. But it doesn't matter because you're dealing with a shark swimming around that has tentacles and walks on ground. Which reminds me, is it Sharknado 2? No, it was a shark, Mecha Shark versus. I forgot what it was. It was on Netflix, by the way. This is all on Netflix. But there's a character that has a big name actor who I can't remember the name of at the moment. You would recognize him if you saw him. Who gets on a motorbike and is trying to get away from Mecha Shark. But eventually, they're like driving around. The mechanical shark is walking around downtown somewhere, and he's on a side street, and he hits a jump. And as Mecha Shark is going this way, his motorbike goes over this thing. They don't make mention of it. They don't say anything about it, but you know that they're talking about we're jumping the shark, because that's exactly what they do. So it's just, it's like we've forgotten how to have fun, and I think it's time that filmmakers and podcasters should have a bit more fun, such as this podcast. Sure, we're not professionals. Sure, we don't do this to make $1 billion, but...
We don't?
We should have a meeting. But the thing is, if you have fun, all of that other stuff will happen, and forcing it just doesn't work. And Jurassic Park, that was about making a film. That was about a decent book that I read before the film. Then I read The Lost World before The Lost World came out. Tons of differences. Didn't matter. The story still remained reasonably strong. So, I don't know. I just gotta say, that's I think that we should, have fun, Dave.
What's that? Fun?
Oh my God, I've made you fall asleep again. I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to make you fall asleep.
So I assume we're running short on time here. Getting back to the Future thing. The one thing that I think that we should point out that they got wrong is that the Chicago Cubs do not win the World Series in 2015. They were eliminated, swept, in fact, by the New York Mets last night. So
that actually makes
the Chicago Cubs, who have not won a World Series since 1908, will continue their history of futility for at least one more year.
That makes me sad. I really wish that they had actually gone all the way. I followed it the other day, but I haven't followed it since. So it's unfortunate that that is happened. So here's to the Chicago Cubs, hopefully pulling it off next year. So maybe, alternate timeline. It's 1985A, and it took till 2016 for them to win. So.
Actually, I did read an article where they interviewed Bob Gale, who was the producer of Back to the Future. And in the first round in the National League Division Series, it was the Cubs against the St. Louis Cardinals. Now, Bob Gale was the one that made the prediction that the Chicago Cubs would win the World Series in 2015, but the St. Louis Cardinals is also his favorite team. He's a fan of the St. Louis Cardinals. So he didn't really know who to cheer for in that division series. He was kind of hoping both of them would get through, which is impossible. Only one can get through. And it was the Cubs that ended up getting through. And actually, hats off to them because they haven't really done that much since 1908 either. So good for them, I guess.
Well,
but they lost.
Eventually, hopefully, somebody will win that we'll support, like a future team that doesn't exist. Because I'm still kind of, I'm kind of sad about the Canucks not doing well the last 2 years. So,
well, the Blue Jays are still in it. So if you're a Canadian, you should be following the Blue Jays.
Okay.
I
was totally following them constantly.
The day before?
The day before? What do you mean?
Well, it was yesterday or the day before, I think, that they played.
Yeah, they played yesterday. Okay. And they extended the series. So Game 6 is tomorrow night in Kansas City with David Price starting on the hill. And then if they win that one, they go to Game 7, which is on Saturday, with Marcus Stroman pitching. And Marcus Stroman is like this big ball of energy, and he's really good. He's young, inexperienced, but he's really, really good. It's almost like he's so inexperienced, he doesn't know that he should be losing that game. He doesn't know that he's supposed to lose because he's so inexperienced, right? So, yeah, I mean, this guy's just like a big ball of energy. So hopefully, let's go Blue Jays. Okay, let's
pull this
win
off
tomorrow. Just win Game 6 tomorrow.
So incredibly important for them to win. So yeah. I think we should call it there, boys, because it is we've gone on for a bit over time, which I've been timing. Any final commentary about anything we've had the experience of this past week?
Just the Steamworks Killer Cucumber Ale. It is a seasonal, and it's just getting out now. I mean, it was out all summer, and they're not making it now. There's limited stock still available, and I don't really know if this is the right time of year to be buying this, but if you get a chance, give it a try. Give your palate some time to adjust. Pour it in a glass. Don't drink it from the bottle, and I think you'll enjoy yourself with it. If you're adventurous and you like to try something a little bit different, give this a try. I mean, I guarantee you've never had anything like this.
I agree. I totally agree. Dave?
I3. I was expecting to detest this. Absolutely.
Okay.
So I was not hearing happiness about this particular beer going in. So I thought, oh my God, I've got a 6 of this I have to get through. All right. This is going into bread. But I actually don't mind it. I really don't.
That's a glow.
I gotta say, it's the glass. The glass makes it so much better because when I did have a couple of swigs a few days ago, wasn't loving it. But I gotta say, I am your density.
All right.
I was stretching.
And with that, I guess we'll call it a night.
Dave, when people are trying to find you online, when they want to make sure that you are above board drinking beer all the time, where can they find you?
Well, they wouldn't, because that's not the case.
And we should start a new band
However.
named the Pinheads.
I believe it's been done.
That it has.
And where was I going with this? Oh,
Where can people find you online?
Oh, right. If for some strange reason that was the case, I could be found on the Twitters at the Fool. That's the PHULE at twitter.com or whatever it is.
Twitter, I don't know. It might be it's something.
I
Something.
can never remember.
And what about you, Alan? Where can people find you when you're not
Well, they can
flying
find me
your
on
DeLorean?
Twitter. They can find me on Twitter at Alan M. Ford.
Very cool. And of course, you can find me at Shane B. That's Shane B. Double E. And of course, you can find all three of us at twitter.com/thecraftyboys or at thecraftyboys.ca. And if you have any beers to suggest, if you have any commentary about the show, please let us know. And if it's negative, just keep it to yourself. Good night, everybody. Thank you again. We will see you next week, live broadcasting, normally on Wednesday nights from about 9:30 till whatever the hell we finish.